So here we are today with Dr. Lipov. It's nice to finally meet you. Appreciate it. And
Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you so much. And so I'm looking forward to doing this procedure. And I've seen you on the doctor's show. How many times have you been on the doctor's show now? 16 times now. And so can you tell us this procedure, what we're doing? I've suffered from depression for a long time, and I'm going publicly with this, obviously, to one of my friends. And
a lot of anxiety.
A lot, anxiety, ADHD, kind of type things. So can you share with what we're doing exactly?
Well, today what we're doing is basically blocking your sympathetic fibers, which are in the neck on the right side. Actually, the first publication about using stellate psychiatrically was in Cleveland Clinic in 1947 for depression.
Interesting.
Kind of interesting.
Yes.
We've been primarily using it for PTSD and anxiety relation issues. We've tried it on postpartum depression. That seems to have worked on that.
Very nice.
But for you today, we are doing the first phase of the block and see if you feel a difference.
Okay.
If not, then we go higher up. It's called C3, and that works a lot of times. It has more oomph or more impact.
And no one does that C3. That's a technique that Dr. Lipov is one of the unique individuals in the country.
Is it a patent that you have on this then, the procedure?
You can't really have a patent on procedure. No, that doesn't get patented. But the sequential block has never been done.
Okay.
So people have done C3 in Europe.
Yes.
Not much in this country, but doing it in sequence for PTSD, I was definitely the first one.
It's very interesting that you work out this area, because I've told my doctors previously, I'm like, man, I just feel this pain, like this stress that really weighs on this part.
Right.
When I'm really experiencing my symptoms at the worst. It really feels in here, and so like, is an adrenal thing, but it feels more on the sides and stuff. Would this be part of that a little bit, you think?
Yeah, so we had a patient that was a special ops guy involved in some really nasty stuff. So he had severe PTSD and he also had back pain. So we did the shot, PTSD went away and his muscle pain went away completely. Because if you think about it, if you're tense, if you're running away from the tiger, right? Your muscles are all tight.
I mean, I feel mine tight right here.
And people carry their stress in different places. Like my wife carries it in her shoulders, you carry it in your neck, some people lower back. But it's tightness from that. Yeah.
And John Bryan was part of the U.S. military, United States Army.
8 years.
Service.
Yeah, thank you. My father's a colonel and stuff. I went to Vietnam, so I was raised in a military family. And and what I've also noticed is with the stress and stuff like this, like my voice actually, I feel like it changes. I don't feel so confident in my speaking
because
ability.
You're almost like you're being strangled, right?
I don't know if you guys out there who are watching this video can relate to this, but if it is a symptom that you're noticing, maybe it's something to look into. So I'm just very interested.
I'm Dr. Philip DeFina. I'm a neuroscientist. Dr. Lipov is a physician. He's an anesthesiologist who does the procedure. But we have brain mapping, which John Ryan has gotten our brain maps prior to, and we'll get them afterwards. So we can actually look at changes in certain pathways, which Dr. Lipov and I are studying to look at the impact empirically of this particular procedure and how it reboots the brain. And then also some forms that you filled out this morning, anxiety and depression forms. So we'll look at those. What
scanning have I done exactly with this? We've done the...
Well, you've done above and beyond what most people come in to do, because we were doing some more sophisticated diagnostics. But we did a whole series of MRI, including fMRI, MRI spectroscopy, and other components of the MRI.
2.5 hours in a scan.
Exactly. So we looked at the chemical signatures, the structural, the functional systems within your brain, and saw certain things that also relate to the type of issues that you were describing. So you have been super scanned, and you have been given supersized electrical maps. So typically most people wouldn't get that type of workup, but because of the length of time and complications involved.
And insurance doesn't cover a lot of this, so I've paid out of pocket for these procedures. Which
exactly. Unfortunately, new technologies and advanced procedures, even though they're safe and efficacious, take sometimes decades or a decade or more to become part of a CPT code and part of a code to be reimbursed through insurance. So that's the downside, and we're trying to make the public more aware, have insurance companies look at this, and maybe capitate some of these procedures.
Especially when it's such a quick process of what we're doing right here.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually two things I want to bring up.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes,
the procedure, if you look at all the conventional therapeutics, they all take a long time to work for PTSD or depression. right?
Exactly.
This
Pills
usually
take
works
months.
in if ever.
If
Right?
ever.
If ever.
Yeah.
with no with
And
a lot of side effects.
right?
Yeah.
You know, you have weight side effects, sexual side effects, sleepiness side effects, all type of stuff.
Right.
I'm not saying that you, of course.
No, and I
I'm just
won't
saying in
partake in
general.
those pills because I have in the past. I've
That's
tried
right.
them. I've
That's
tried
right.
numerous of them. They're horrible. I don't like them.
Yeah, if you look at, there's a study by Dr. Crystal from Yale, and he basically looked at everything, all the drugs used for PTSD, that said none of them work. All the drugs, $8 billion a year.
But still, the pharmaceutical industry
Still pumping
pushes
it
you,
out.
pumping it out like that. So I just want to say, I know you got more to say here, but I want to say that's why we're filming this, and that's why I'm here today. I want to document this and help other people. Is my intention here in promoting your guys' organization, because I work with the best right here.
And the fancy name for this
Works
is
great for it.
Yeah. But you want to say more about
the fancy name for this is non-invasive, minimally invasive, or non-invasive, depending on the techniques used, neuromodulation. So we're changing brain functions through a non-medication use in which non-pharmaceutical use in which individuals normally aren't compliant because of all the side effects Dr. Lipov
Right.
and John were mentioning, and the fact that the main effect oftentimes is not there as well. So here is a procedure, short-term procedure, long-term impact, and we can talk to John Ryan afterwards and get some input as to how he's feeling about it.
Last thing I want to tell you is kind of interesting. So I have a degree in genetics from college.
Mine's like in
Number of years
psychology.
ago.
Actually, I'm trying to figure out what I've been going through my entire
And that
life.
makes sense. But let me tell you why you and I are kind of similar. So my father was a colonel in the Red Army,
Get that? No? Yeah.
and growing up, at least with my
What's
father,
the Red Army? That's the
Russian
Army.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I should have
But
known
he had a lot of PTSD from World War II. So I don't know, like your father's PTSD state,
that. No,
or
I didn't. No,
he didn't have any.
Yeah, he's an engineer.
Oh, well, being brought up, at least in my family, was very interesting because the childhood you go through changes your brainwaves.
Exactly.
But I wrote a paper on epigenetics, how there is actually a number of things that tells us the brain actually changes, DNA changes in your body following trauma. Which is
My
kind of
father had
interesting.
the same thing. He was in the Marines, World War II, same type of situation.
Very
I had my
interesting.
story.
Oh, you did? Well, that's why you're so cool now.
As a cucumber.
So I used to be like that until these changes. So epigenetics, it can go positive or negative.
You can go forward and
Negative
backwards.
and positive
Yes.
back. Exactly.
There was a lady, Dr. Bloodburn, whose lab I cooperated with. She wrote the paper and actually got a Nobel Prize for doing meditation and yoga, and actually changing DNA back, epigenetic changes. Isn't that
The
amazing?
book I actually was reading on the flight over here, it's about living in the moment, and it's, you know, we can either think in the past, we can think in the future, but living in the moment, this is a very important place to live. And in a day and age, you know, we're doing a lot of neurofeedback stuff together. I just bought this $21,000 plus device from him and stuff. But, you know, it's just with the technologies, the cell phones and the social media, we're going to be doing a video on later on today, how this is, you know, warping people's minds, the dopamine drifts, and, you know, from gaming so much in social media.
Addicting.
And these kids are having issues nowadays, right? Big time. So it's our goal is looking into how we can move forward in actually, like you said, the epigenetics moving forward to help these people get better.
Absolutely. I was a school neuropsychologist. My training's in clinical psychology and neuroscience, and my doctorate's in working in school systems and seeing the level of violence and mental health issues. I think many of which are precipitated by obviously broken down family and a lot of complicated issues, but video gaming, that gaming, has a very deleterious effect
Changes the brain.
on the brain. It puts them in a hyper alert, aggressive mode, and it's a chronic addictive kind of process. So
yes.
things like neurofeedback can actually work in a positive way with gaming to try to regulate, as opposed to the type of.
So we're talking about this also. So we're having a long-term relationship talking about
That's
this.
right.
What, you know, let's just talk about the suicide risk real quick is on the rise massively lately.
Right.
This year, every year is going up higher and higher, and I think people can. It's a contribution of a whole bunch of things. Maybe GMO foods, and maybe it could be, who knows, fluoride in the water. Who knows? Not to get on conspiracy theory, you know, on top of technology. It could be Wi-Fi signals coming in and all these things. You never know, right? How our bodies are getting bombarded.
Stress, medications. They've
Stress, all
identified
this stuff.
the National Institutes of Health identified over 90 commonly used prescription medications that can precipitate depression and anxiety.
Yeah, I actually saw that. So I'm kind of
So,
curious.
suicide angle, if you're
Go ahead.
interested. I mean,
Yes.
I gave a presentation about it in 2015 in Canada, actually. It was called American Psychiatric Association. So basically, what's interesting is there are a couple of things that lead to suicide clearly. One, bad sleep pattern. You can't sleep well, especially if you have nightmares. Also, if you have overreactivity. So if you're very impulsive. Impulsivity leads to suicide. Those are the two things that.
But you have to ask what led to that right there, to that.
Well, it could lead to a lot of things. I'm just saying from my perspective, because the stellate injection, sympathetic blocks, actually work best on those two features.
Because
Yes,
the
that's
revving
like-
up,
Yeah.
the impulsivity,
Right.
the lack of insight, and poor judgment combined precipitate states where people hurt themselves or commit suicide. So this mechanism that's being addressed by the SGB actually reverses that.
I really think this is it, because I've always complained and no one ever had an answer. That I get this in here, and it's not like I'm yelling at a concert. It's just like I'm exhausted, but my adrenal tests show up as normal, and my thyroid and I do testosterone replacement
that,
therapy and
because it's
HGH.
neurological.
It's neurological. So I appreciate it, brother. Looking forward to a successful
great.
procedure, and
Thank
we'll
you
have
for
some
your
more.
service.
Yes, thank you all. So
We'll
awesome.
see you soon.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
have a beautiful idea.
There you go.